Why do white people resent Black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom Black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when Black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved Black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which Black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, how much did white Americans actually do in all that time? If we are to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to Black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you totally deny. The existence of Black people for whom success is like second nature, when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it, I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest Black excellence? What will help you? And for that, I would suggest a lot of therapy, a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye.
One of the biggest tools the white supremacists use to control the general population is jealousy. Not just fear of minorities, but fear of minorities being more successful than you as a white person. Because implicitly, deep down, they know that they have a significant advantage over every single immigrant, over Black and brown people in the US. Because of factors like racism, all you have to do is look to the government and see how white and how conservative it is. But they cannot accept the fact that somebody who came to America 5 years ago didn't know any English and was able to work themselves into society, get a good paying job, and take care of their family is more successful than them. They can't accept the fact that there are people who have come to America and done better in a system that was built for them. That is why I believe that a large portion of racism and bigotry in general is rooted in jealousy. It's not just about white people wanting to hoard the resources, it's about white people wanting to hoard them so other people don't get them. They would rather see people of color fail than another white person succeed, because it's never been about success, it's been about preventing others from doing well. That sort of spite is what keeps them going.
Oh, I do think that white people are absolutely jealous of Black people, specifically with the community, and also with fashion and music and everything else that is appropriated. But by design of what whiteness is, it inherently lacks community. And I think we're absolutely jealous of that. And I've heard biracial people say that they do see that difference in their own families. Because in addition to European cultures being more individualistic than cultures from Africa, South America, and indigenous North American cultures, the invention of whiteness in America erased a lot of ties to actual culture. So when I say white people, Black community, I'm not talking about Polish people or German people or Irish people. As I explained in my book, I just wrote the intro and I'm working on the conclusion today. Y'all keep me in your prayers. In the course of human history, white is a relatively new term. As we discussed in the introduction to this book, white is a North American term emerging from the 1600s as a term to justify the enslavement of Africans and squelch revolts from poor Europeans and indentured servants. Before this term, Europeans would identify with their nationalities. The Irish, Italians, Germans, French are all very different cultures. Thus, there is not the same communal tie to whiteness as there is for people from other communities. Further, since white was created to be a divider, a separator, it is not a happy identity. It is not something people want to admit they relate to. It doesn't have a rich, healthy history. Speaking as a white American who has conducted national level research on white Americans, we tend to say things like we have German, Irish, Italian, etc. ancestry, even if we have never been to those places. This is because all white Americans have ties to immigration, and because these identities are actual cultures, they do not have roots only in oppression. Now, we know who started colonization, right? So this is the book I'm trying to finish by Monday and send to the editor. There's a free chapter in my bio if you're interested on one of the unwritten rules of work. The book is predominantly about class, but I talk about 3 other identities that you can't talk about class without talking about these other identities, and race is absolutely one of them.
I'm in these non-toxic groups on Facebook where people live non-toxic lives, and we're looking for non-toxic recommendations for the products that we use. And I made a Facebook post, this was a while back, and I was like, I'm looking for Black-owned, non-toxic hair product recommendations for my entire family who has various hair types. And my post was just met with so many white women who are like, that's racist. Why are you looking for Black-owned? I'm telling you, this post got endless comments full of hatred. Like, it just kept coming and coming and coming. We support Black businesses to get rid of the racial wealth gap. Like, it's seriously the least that you can do. It's the easiest thing that you can do. So I was like talking with these people in the comments, and they're coming at me and they're attacking me. And it brought out a side of me that I'm not proud of. I called them what they were. And basically, my entire post got taken down. And so I didn't get any answers. But if this isn't a really good example of how white people don't want Black people to succeed, I don't know what is. And so if you have any good recommendations for non-toxic products in general that are Black owned, I would love for you to drop them in the comments, because I did get a couple of answers, but the post got taken down so suddenly that I couldn't write them down. And then some that we found that we ended up trying just didn't work out the way that we hoped. We have hair types ranging from 4A to C and hair like mine. But I'm always looking for Black-owned businesses that I can support in general, and products that are non-toxic are a big plus.
I think that Black people have a unique opportunity in this time to really redefine what we consider success. Understandably, because of our history, success was oftentimes reaching where white people didn't want us to reach. We became very proud that we were the first ever, or that we got membership into certain elite clubs, or we were able to buy certain brands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And before anyone gets annoyed with me, understand I'm talking from inside the house, because I question many of the decisions I made, like by putting my kids in private schools where they were in the vast minority, like living in majority white neighborhoods. So understand, I'm talking, this is a us conversation, okay? But I was thinking about this recently because there is a fairly new private club in DC, extraordinarily gorgeous, uppity, bougie, refined, all the things. And I have some friends that are members, and they were nice enough to invite me. On one occasion I went, met my friend kind of in the middle of the day in like their kind of bar area, maybe like 4 o'clock. We were the only Black people there at that time. On the good side, let me tell you something. Everything was just divine, decadent, beautiful, opulent, the finest of the fine, right? But again, we were the only Black people there. Next time I went, I met 3 other Black folks. There were a few other sprinklings of other Black people there, but still vastly a very white crowd. And what I have found, even though I have been in these spaces a good part of my life, you never feel 1,000% fully comfortable as you do when you're with people that are comfortable with you. Because this is the thing, regardless of anything, there are going to be some white people there who don't want you there. There are going to be some white people there who question why you're there. There are going to be some white people there who may consider themselves liberal or whatever, are still paying attention to you. There are going to be some white people there who will barely look at you. So you kind of have this duality of being invisible and like too seen at the same time. You know what I'm feeling? We feel that. And also, you know, there is sometimes this slight difference of the way you're treated. So the second time I was there, we went to the rooftop at the end of the evening. So some of the people could smoke cigars. And, you know, they started closing. And so this white waiter or server or whatever he calls them, you know, came up and was like, folks, it's time to wrap up. Okay, not rude, but certainly not the service that this place typically gives. Great customer service, or that you would expect from this private elite club, right? Because, like I said, these are members, and they pay a lot of money to be members of this club. At the same time, we were getting to walk off of the roof. There was a group of white men wanting to come onto the roof. The same guy says to them, the same server says to them, "Sorry, gentlemen, we're closing down for the night. Sorry, we can't help you out." There was a difference in the way that he treated them and talked to them. Immediately noticed. And we pick up on those things as Black people. Little prickly hairs go off all over our body because we sense that we're being treated differently, and we know why, right? And so I just was thinking, as incredible as this place is, from the food to the drinks to the atmosphere, I, at this stage of my life, will not pay money to be in places where I'm in the vast minority. But I will not. Now, if I'm getting paid money to do so, right? If a corporation is going to pay me money to do it, I absolutely will do it. Give me a call, okay? I'm a great speaker. But I'm not going to pay a lot of money to have this thing called access, because at the end of the day, it doesn't feel good. And at the end of the day, I don't think it always felt good for my kids to be the minority in places. And so why am I paying for it? Am I paying for it because I feel that I've reached some level of wealth or acceptance? Is it something to say that, oh, I'm a member of this club? Is it really the flex that we think it is? And it's just a conversation that I think that we should have.
Brothers and sisters, let's talk about something that runs deep in our societies. The tension that arises when Black people succeed and reclaim spaces where they were once excluded. From the neighborhoods of Detroit to the coast of Jamaica and the cities of Lagos and Nairobi, the story of Black excellence has always been a story of resistance, resilience, and revival. Again, when success comes from Black communities, often stirs envy, discomfort, and resentment, especially from those who once viewed themselves as the sole holders of privilege. But this conversation isn't about hate. It's about understanding why this happens, what it means, and how we can move forward. To understand the roots of jealousy towards Black success, we have to look at history. For centuries, many white societies built their wealth through systems that deliberately suppressed Black prosperity, from slavery and colonialism to redlining the unequal education. When those systems began to break down and Black people started to excel in businesses, politics, sports, and academia, it disrupted centuries of racial hierarchy. Some individuals who had been told that success was their birthright began to see Black excellence as a threat, not as a shared human triumph. That reaction, jealousy, is not about the color of skin, but about the loss of an earned advantage. In the United States, Black Americans have built million-dollar industries, from music and entertainment to tech, fashion, and entrepreneurship. Yet, despite systemic barriers, they continue to rise. The success of figures like Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and countless Black business owners in their communities proves that creativity and perseverance can break through, even through toughest ceilings. But with that rise has come backlash, subtle and overt. When we see it in workplace discrimination, cultural appropriation, and online narratives that attempts to downplay Black achievement. What's often seen as attitude or arrogance is really confidence and true struggle. And when Black excellence shines, it can expose the insecurities of those who've never had to fight for their place. Now, look at Jamaica and the wider Caribbean islands of immense culture, athletics, and innovation, born out of the ashes of slavery and colonialism. Jamaica gave the world reggae, Rastafari philosophy, and some of the fastest athletes in human history. Yet, for decades, Global media portrayed these nations as poor, violent, or dependent, a subtle way to dismiss their achievements. The jealousy towards Caribbean success often hides behind stereotypes. When a Jamaican artist tops the charts, or a Caribbean nation excels in tourism or trade, there's sometimes an unspoken discomfort in acknowledging that a small island can outshine former colonial powers. But brothers and sisters, that pride is earned, not given. Across Africa, the story repeats, from Nigeria's booming tech industry to Kenya's innovation hubs and South Africa's film scene. African nations are reclaiming their global influence. African fashion, food and music are now global trends. The rise of Afrobeats, Nollywood and African fintech companies proves that the continent is no longer waiting for validation from the West. But with this rise comes another familiar reaction, doubt, dismissal, and sometimes jealousy. When people who once viewed Africa as needy now see it as powerful, their narrative threatens old hierarchies. Yet the truth is, African success does not diminish anyone else's. It expands what's possible for everyone. So why does jealousy persist? Because success challenges comfort zones. It reveals that many excuses for inequality are illusions. It exposes who truly benefits from the system and who has been underestimated. But my brothers and sisters, here's the key. The goal is not to return hate for hate. The goal is education, empathy, and empowerment. When others react with jealousy, it's a signal, a sign that we're moving forward and the narrative is shifting. Instead of focusing on who resents black success, we should focus on expanding that success, mentoring youth, supporting black-owned businesses, demanding fair representation, and telling our own stories, because success that's shared becomes unstoppable. Brothers and sisters, let's stand together, Americans, Jamaicans, Africans, and the entire diaspora. Let's keep building, teaching, and breaking barriers. We don't need validation from those who envy our progress. We need solidarity with those who believe in justice and equality. Remember this, when they're jealous, it's not because we're too loud, it's because we're finally being heard. When they're uncomfortable, it's not because we are too proud, it's because we've learned to love ourselves after centuries of being told not to. Let's rise together and make success not a source of division, but a light that inspires change across all races. Thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section about the video. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.